If you've been in the market for a gaming PC, you've probably asked yourself, how much money should I spend on one? And maybe you're looking to upgrade from a console, which is about $600, but then after some research, you found out getting a decent PC for $600 is quite hard in today's market. So ultimately, you decided, well, if I'm gonna upgrade, I might as well spend more to get a better experience. And let's face it, the next console release is easily going to cost over $600. I mean, look at the Steam machine. That's besides the point. This right here is a gaming PC. Oh really? I thought it was a freaking spaceship. You could build this PC for sub $1,000 and I did it so you don't have to. I'll be going over all the parts that make up this build as well as the prices I paid. I'll be showing you how to assemble it, then going over the performance in a few games. I also understand that some people don't want to spend $1,000 or can't, so I'll also be telling you what parts to swap out to drastically drop the price closer to a $500 PC, and I'll compare the game performance between them. Let's start by grabbing all the parts and stay tuned for an inventory video for those interested in PC flipping. CPU, motherboard, RAM, SSD, cooler, GPU, PSU, case. This is an AM4 based build, and yes, it is still a viable option. Don't listen to idiots like this who just think everyone needs to spend all their money and get the newest hardware. The star of the build is the AMD Ryzen 5 5600X, built on the newest architecture for AM4. It's rocking 6 cores and 32 megabytes of L3 cache. It'll handle everything from gaming to even light professional work like video or photo editing. I paid $115.97 for this one straight from eBay. Brand new, you'll spend around $170, or you can also buy the Ryzen 5 5600 Non-X for slightly cheaper, and they're only about a 1 to 2% difference in performance. Now mine showed up kind of dirty and had a deep scratch on the IHS, so I was a wee bit worried, but before building with it, I fully tested it and had no issues with temps in the low 70s and clear skies. If you really need to save money, I recommend picking up the Ryzen 5 5500. The main differences are in price, Gen 4 versus Gen 3, and in the L3 cache. I'm pairing the CPU with the motherboard from Asus, the B550M AAC. That just means it has onboard Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It's a nice looking board too. I picked this up for only $61.74. Got 4 RAM slots, 2 M.2 slots, and a pretty nice looking MATX design. I'll let you in on a little secret. It was bought on Newegg as a bundle with the Ryzen 5 5500 and a free cooler. I split up the cost, and that's how I got my price for the motherboard. I highly recommend checking out Newegg for combo deals if you're trying to save money while building a computer. Unfortunately, there is no combo for the Ryzen 5 5600X though. When it comes to picking RAM, you really can't be picky right now. Just buy whatever 16GB kit that doesn't destroy your wallet. Brand new, you're looking at over $115. I picked up this kit from eBay for only 55 bones. It's 16 gigs at 3200 megahertz. If you buy used RAM, you need to test it, and you can use memtest to catch any errors. Same rules apply to storage right now. I don't see a point in spending new prices. Look for a solid used drive and use Crystal Disk info to verify the health of it. Luckily, I have this brand new 1TB that I got for a really good price. This was way before they all went up. I forgot I had it. A more realistic price for a used SSD, 1TB, is around $80 to $90. For the cooler, I'm using this 240mm AIO from Thermalright. It was about $65. An AIO is not needed to cool the 5600X. It was a request from a customer. You can get away with using a $20 tower cooler. With a total budget of $1,000 for a PC, you can fit a lot of different GPUs into that build, but not new. Options are limited when you're looking at the newest, and for that I picked up the RTX 5060. People tend to hate on the RTX 5060, but I think that's other people's opinions that they're projecting. It's really not a bad card, as you'll see in the gaming benchmarks. The only bad thing about it is the price. This exact model was purchased on Newegg as refurbished for $315. If you want to save money though and drastically make this PC cheaper, then I'd recommend the RTX 2060 as the baseline GPU for Nvidia. And if you pair that with the more affordable Ryzen 5 5500, you'll have a sub $500 gaming PC, and it'll still dish out great performance at 1080p. I will be comparing the FPS numbers between the different part configurations, so stay tuned. To power this build, you don't need much. I picked up this brand new 650 watt unit from RaidMax for only 30 bucks. And here's our house. I went with this option from Okinos, nice all black micro ATX layout with a wood accent, and it was around $60. All these parts were based off this custom build request I received from a customer. You can swap out parts as you seem fit, or if you want me to build you a PC, the custom form is linked below. I'm gonna show you how to assemble it now. If you already know how, navigate through the video chapters or continue watching to support. Every build starts the same. Place your motherboard on the box, lift up this little lever here, and if you look closely, you can see a triangle in this corner. grab your CPU, and there's a tiny triangle right here. Line it up with the triangle on the motherboard, drop it into place, and then push that lever down. Then you want to install the RAM. Goes in these slots here. You just push these little tabs out like that to unlock it. You'll also notice there's little notches right there. It lines up with the notch on the RAM stick. It only goes in one way, so if it's not going in, then you have it the wrong way. Just push down until you hear it click. Then you want to install your SSD. If you have an NVMe, it goes in this slot here, or if you have SATA, you just do that later on. Has a similar notch to the RAM stick. Almost forgot, but depending on your motherboard, you will also have to install a little standoff. With this Asus one, comes with 2 in the boxes. Just grab it and it screws in right to that third little spot. I recommend installing the other one so you don't risk losing it. Then you grab your SSD, it goes in at a 45-degree angle, tiny little click, and you just screw it into place. Install the other screw so you also don't risk losing it. At this point, you can install a tower cooler. But we have the AIO, so let's prep it for that. All we need right now is all the hardware. I don't need this, but if it's your first time, definitely read it. For AMD, you'll want everything labeled AM4 or AM5 and vice versa for Intel. Remove the stock hardware. Grab these little red standoffs. And just place it right there. You'll need these brackets. They're also labeled AM4. Take these long screws, insert in the hole, and you want the curve to go towards the CPU. Insert in the hole again, and then tighten it all down. The reason I did this now is because it is much easier to do it outside of the case, but now we can install it in the case. I like to build on a piece of styrofoam. You just want to start by removing both of the side panels. You can also reinstall these screws so you don't have to worry about them. Grab the little accessory box out. We need this little bag here. Yeet that. Flip this bad boy back side up. Grab your IO shield that was in your motherboard box. Give her a rip. You want to pay attention to little tabs like this. Just give them a push up or that will go straight into the port. Then it just lines up, audio ports at the bottom, and just click it into place. Lay it down, grab the motherboard. If you look at it, you can see all these screw points here. You want to make sure there's standoffs in the case where these are. Looks like I need to install one there and here. Grab 2 standoffs and that standoff tool. It works just like that. And then screw it on down. Repeat for however many standoffs you need to install. Grab your mother again. I like to hold it from the hardware, just lower it at an angle, and then it should all line up. Make sure the ports are lined up in the back. Grab that little Phillips screw with a flat edge on it and get to screwing. Flip it back around. Grab some snippers. We need these cables here. These are for our front panel. Like your headphone jack, USB ports, and the power button. Only one we can't use is this Type-C cable, but you can buy a USB 2 to Type-C adapter. Another flip, and then plug everything in. All of them only go in one way. So like the RAM, if it's not going in, then try the other way. But as long as your eyeballs are open, then you can see which way it has to plug in. It's kind of, I don't know. It's obvious. I don't say that to be arrogant, but I mean, just look at it. You knew it was coming. Another flip. This is where the power supply goes. Grab your snippers again, install it with the fan facing down. It actually came with its own screws. They are some thick Phillips ones. And you know the drill, more screwing. Grab this thick boy, put it in that hole there. That's for your motherboard power. Grab the little skinny boy and put it in this hole there. That's for your CPU power. Grab the skinny boy's friend. It'll be labeled PCIe. That is for your GPU. Go ahead and pre-route it through this hole and then just kind of stuff the rest in there. If your dad's around, ask him a thing or two about stuffing. He knows what's up. Flipper, plug in the 24 pin, also goes in one way. Push until you hear it click. Grab that CPU power. Next step would be to install the GPU, but I want to plug in a few cables that need to go under the GPU to make it easier. This is for our AIO. We need to plug the USB side into this, which actually controls the screen on the AIO. Just look for a header labeled USB. I'm pre-routing it through the top as well. I'm also going to plug in this fan splitter so I don't have to mess with it when the AIO is in my way. I'm actually saving the GPU for last so I have as much room as possible for the AIO. Grab these Phillips screws that came with your AIO. Goes in like that, and you should be familiar with this step. It's actually a really tight fit in this case for an AIO, so these last 2 screw points are cut off, but as long as you have all the other ones, this thing is not going anywhere. Put the little dust filter back on, layer down, grab your snippers again. Just be sure not to cut the fan cables. I've done that once. Trust me, I learned my lesson. And then if you turn the case like this, you can kind of push your finger through the other side, grab the cable right here, and then route it through the back. And if you look at the top here, the AIO covers almost all these headers. So good thing we pre-routed everything, or this would be a big headache. Grab the thermal paste that came with their AIO. It is more than good enough. Never mind, this thing's coming out like a hard-on. What the hell? Some different thermal paste. That's a better consistency. Don't forget this step. Peel this sticker off. And then this just goes straight on down. Screw it into place. Grab the screen from your AIO, plug in the Type-C cable. Has magnets, it just snaps onto place. Also peel the little plastic off the screen there. Need to route this last cable, it's for the pump. Snippers again. Move that jumbled mess out of the way. And then just plug the fans into that fan splitter that you plugged in earlier. Now we can install the GPU. Undo this little screw here. Gotta remove that bracket. Locate that top PCIe slot and line it up with the brackets here. These ones just break away. I removed 2 because our GPU is 2 slots. Push that clip down, then lower your GPU into place. Make sure it is straight on. It should line up with the PCIe slot, and then push until you hear it click. And then finally, plug in that GPU cable. Build is done. The only other thing to do is cable manage it. So far, it's not a bad looking build. It actually looks very clean, man. Ooh. Here's the completed build. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Nice all blacked out look with a few touches of color with the wood accent here and then the AIO screen. Overall, really solid build. Let's see how it performs though. I tested Warzone at 1080p competitive settings, which I determined to be high details and textures, and then everything else on low. PC dished out a solid 129 FPS average with a 1% low of 89. In Cyberpunk, I kept it easy and selected their high setting preset, and it averaged 142 FPS. I also selected the ray tracing medium preset to see the RT performance of the 5060, and it averaged 77 FPS with a 1% low of 52. In Fortnite, I ran it at 1080p performance mode, all low settings except the view distance was at far, and it was averaging over 200 FPS with a decent 1% low at 122. Pretty solid gameplay. I would be more than happy with this if it was my PC, but now let's check out some performance from the cheaper parts. Keep in mind, one is a sub $1,000 build and I'm comparing it to a sub $500 gaming PC. It obviously is gonna look like crap next to the numbers, but this is just to show you that it can still play games and you don't need to spend $1,000 on a PC. In Call of Duty Warzone, with the same competitive settings and DLSS enabled, we averaged 108 FPS and the 1% low was 76. With the RTX 5060 and Ryzen 5 5600X, we averaged 129 FPS. That's only about a 17% difference, and sure, it's better, but the RTX 2060 is even paired with a weaker CPU, and honestly, I don't know if the performance difference is worth the extra money. Pretty cool to see the older parts still hold up. Now in Cyberpunk, the differences are more noticeable. Despite the age of this game, it's still a demanding game. With the RTX 2060 and Ryzen 5 5500 running the high preset, the average FPS was 89. With the same exact preset, but with the RTX 5060, we averaged 142 FPS, about a 45% difference. That's not to say the RTX 2060 configuration isn't playable. However, the story changes with the ray tracing performance. It's quite worse. Both ran with the medium ray tracing preset, but the weaker specs were honestly struggling with an average FPS of 35. In Fortnite, I used the same exact performance mode settings as before, and I saw about a 20% difference in the average FPS, and it isn't even from the GPUs. The main limiter of your FPS on Fortnite is directly correlated to your CPU. It is heavily taxing when it's trying to process a high frame rate, and since the 5600X is the faster CPU, it'll win every time, no matter what GPU you pair with the 5500. One main difference between the GPUs is the fact the RTX 5060 has access to the newest frame gen technologies, so for games like Cyberpunk with the ray tracing preset and frame gen enabled, you can average 130 FPS. In Warzone with the same settings but also with frame gen enabled, you'll average 189 FPS. And DLSS frame gen is locked behind a paywall as it's only available on 40 series or newer GPUs. Let's take a moment to appreciate the RTX 2060. I mean, it's the first ever RTX GPU and it's the same tier as the 5060, but 4 generations apart. You would think the performance differences would have been greater than what we saw. Goes to show how little they've actually improved on raw performance. Now they just slap AI everywhere and call it better. After seeing those results, what do you think? Go ahead and leave your thoughts below. I would say for $1,000, it's a solid PC. Of course, it's not as good as it could be with prices, but what can you do? If you would like to see a detailed video on the more affordable PC I built, then let me know. That's it for me though. Check out the links below to buy all the parts to build this one for yourself or buy a PC from me. Smash a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.